Meeting for Manhattan Community Board 4. I'm Jessica Chait, Chair of the board, and I call this meeting to order. Thank you all for attending this evening, for trekking through our first snow of the year, and for accommodating the new date due to the new year. I hope, of course, that you all had a wonderful end to your year, and I look forward to working with all of you in 2025, including our newest secretary, Candace Hewitt, who is doing her job solo for the first time this evening. So if she needs us to repeat anything, and most importantly, we'll all speak into the mic so that the recording can be there for her and Katie to review afterwards. As a reminder, MCB4 has a hybrid meeting policy that can be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability and/or an extraordinary circumstance. Excused committee members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually, and board members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on. The meeting is streamed live on our YouTube channel, and a transcript is being recorded, will live on our channel, and is accessible to the public. As a reminder to all, our public session is sign up is made available before the meeting. And as we can see by the numbers here this evening, and we can imagine that we're going to have very full agenda. So again, we ask everyone who wants to speak for the public hearing, which this evening is on Western Rail Yards, that they do sign up in the back. Excuse me, the public hearing. And then after that, if you're online, we'll ask that you put your hands up now. At the end of the public hearing, if you're here for the public session, which is any topic that you're here to speak on for up to 2 minutes, we'll then ask you to put your hands up at that time so that we can keep you separate and manage the timing accordingly. But we do ask everyone who's here for the public hearing to raise your hands online, or if you're in person, to have signed up in the back so we can call on you. And more rules on that or more guidelines on that as we go forward, both from Paul and Leslie in just a minute. For those board members, or actually for all of our guests in our room, for those who attended our December meeting, you'll know we had a significant issue with our tech. And that was in part because we think there were too many demands on the Wi-Fi here at Hotel Trades. So we're going to ask that everyone refrain from joining the public Wi-Fi unless you absolutely must, but then you please get public Wi-Fi. I know many people have cellular or other ways of connecting, hotspotting from their cell phone. That should be fine, but we really can't disrupt the online streaming, which we have connected over here, because then our whole meeting, sort of the foundation of our meeting, crumbles. So again, please refrain from using the public Wi-Fi. In addition, this evening we've had a few changes. We weren't going to have a presentation. Now we are happy to be able to have Captain Alexander Braithwaite from the 10th Precinct with us to give us an update on trends in the 10th. For those who have been along either through the board or as members of the public, we have been trying to highlight issues related to safety, hear from those who are in a position to speak more directly to the trends and the issues that they're seeing, so that we as a board can, one, feel better informed on what's happening as it relates to public safety and security in our neighborhood, but two, then begin to think about what additional mechanisms may we want to consider to have for addressing and keep on the pulse of the issues of public safety in our district. So with that, Captain, I believe you're joining us via Zoom, and we're really grateful for your participation and joining us, making the time. If you can introduce yourself, remind us of the borders of the 10th, and then as mentioned, if you can speak to the trends and what you're seeing, that would be really helpful. And if we have time, we'll take a few questions from the public, from the board.
Good evening, everyone. You can hear me, right?
Yes, thank you.
Good evening and happy holidays, happy New Year to everyone on the in the room and in the call. I'm Captain Alexander Braithwaite, commanding officer of the 10th Precinct. We cover pretty much Chelsea all the way up to like Southern Hell's Kitchen, from to like 43rd Street on the west side, all the way down to 14th Street, and on the east side till 29th Street up until 7th Avenue. It's a pleasure. It's my first meeting here with you guys. I've been here for about a year. But, you know, like you said, I'll keep it brief and give you a little overview. But 2024, we finished pretty strong as far as crime and issues in Chelsea in the 10th Precinct. We Manhattan overall was down pretty much like 9%, almost 10% in crime for the year. But, you know, in the 10th, we did a little better than that, and we finished up down 15% in overall crimes, you know, all our major index crimes. So the momentum is going well into the new year. For the new year, I want to kind of focus on some of the issues that you see um, kind of prevalent in the news and stuff you may not see, but our retail theft is one of the biggest issues that we have in Manhattan City, but particularly in Manhattan. And we just opened up a new Target. We have Hudson Yards with a lot of retail stuff going on. Luckily, we haven't seen the violence that you see in other places and other parts of the country with people going in and grabbing and flash mobs and stuff like that. But it's still an issue. We're still having a lot of petty larceny issues, a lot of grand larceny issues at some of these high retail stores. And I know the community loves these stores. Like the Target that just opened up on 23rd Street is one of the best things to happen. From what I'm hearing from the community, is one of the best things to happen in the neighborhood, providing, jobs, a place to do all the shopping and whatnot, instead of having to go to 14th Street or East Side or Midtown. So, we want to focus on retail theft. So we put a couple extra officers in the Hudson Yards area for an increased presence. And we did just get 14 new rookies about 2.5 months ago that we are, deploying throughout the precinct, particularly 8th Avenue and the Hudson Yards, like I said, from on 8th Avenue from 14th Street up to 23rd to address some of the quality of life issues that, the community has been complaining about on 8th Avenue. Particularly, again, like I said, retail theft, people, selling drugs on the corners and stuff like that. So a lot of the issues I am sure you guys are aware of are the mental health issues and the crisis that's going on with all the, people being let out of the hospitals and stuff. And as you see, if you watch the news, the mayor, the commissioner are trying to get policies in place so we can, voluntarily or involuntary, remove these people without their participation if we deem them needing to be removed off the street. So, like I said, 8th Avenue, the 8th Avenue, the Target, the CVS on 14th Street. Those are areas where we're trying to focus on Hudson Yards. Another thing is transit. I know, again, everything I'm talking about, it shouldn't be new to anybody if you watch TV, but transit crimes are up, and especially the couple of heinous transit crimes we had here, on 23rd Street and 18th Street, 14th Street with the person being pushed in front of the train. Our guys, the 10th is obviously a patrol command, and transit has their own personnel to deal with it, but we have been helping them out and supplementing transit deployments. So every tour, each sector that I have is responsible for doing 2 visits in transit. These visits are usually around 20 minutes each. They have to talk to the MTA employee there. They have to talk to the train conductor and require the train conductor to make an announcement. And all these things are just steps to increase presence and visibility and make people feel a little more comfortable driving the trains. Riding the trains in our mass transit systems. Obviously, with congestion pricing, the ridership on the trains is expected to increase. So we do want to keep people safe. So we have, 3 major train stations in the precinct: 14th Street and 8th Avenue, 23rd Street and 8th Avenue, and Hudson Yards and 7 line at Hudson Yards. So our cops will be down there, a couple times per tour, in addition to what transit gives us, puts down there. And, those are some of the issues that we're seeing, that we're trying to address. But like I said, 2024 was a good year, down a good significant percentage in all our major crimes. And we want to just keep that momentum rolling into the new year. As far as collisions, we're down in traffic fatalities from last year as well. And we're up in DV arrests. So, the cops are out there, the presence is there. We could always use more officers, but, the state of the hiring in the city is, in flux, but we're doing the best we can with what we have. New administration's coming in, and they're going to put out their new directives soon on what they want us to focus on. So, those will be some of the things we'll be paying attention to going into 2024.
Captain, thank you very much. Do we have you for just 2 more minutes? We can see if there are questions. Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Any questions from the board for the captain? Okay, go ahead. Jessica.
I've got one here.
Okay, Mike.
Okay, Captain, thank you for coming by. I got a question regarding in the Elliott houses, for example, where we have PSA4 doing verticals now and then. I get calls from my neighbors who've got door cams, and they see these people roaming around who shouldn't be here, and they're frightened. She got one lady who just simply won't come out of her apartment. And she asked me, should I call PSA4 directly or 911? What should I do? and we've done both. I told her, it helps if PSA4 is here, close by, they're going to get here quicker. Because she said calling 911, it takes a whole lot of time for somebody to show up, long after these people have come and gone. So what do you think? What's the best approach that we can take? What can I tell her in terms of calling 911 or PSA4 or whoever?
Well, the best answer is if there's an emergency situation and she needs the police, 911 is always the best people to call. It's the best number to call. Whether she calls 911, if she calls 911, you're either going to get a response from housing or patrol. Usually it's going to be patrol because, PSA4 is pretty big. They cover pretty much all of Lower Manhattan as far as housing developments. So they have a lot of developments to cover. And sometimes, Chelsea Elliott houses or the Fulton houses that are in the confines of the 10th precinct, as far as violence wise, is not high on their, priority list. So if they don't have the personnel, patrol ends up going and answering any jobs that come over there. So, if it's an immediate emergency or any emergency, whatever it is, if she needs a police assistance, she always needs to call 911. But if she has an issue that's an ongoing issue or something like a tenant or something in a hallway that's not necessarily an immediate emergency or police response, she should definitely reach out to PSA4 and, alert them of whatever issue she's having. But again, an emergency situation, 911 and more than likely will be there. And unless they happen to have a foot post in the area or a car in the area, nine out of 10 times is going to be the 10th precinct that's responding to her 911 call.
Great. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. All right, we don't have any other questions, but we really appreciate you coming in today. And we'll ask that you come back, hopefully once a quarter and give an update. And we hope the trend of last year continues.
No problem. If you guys have any questions or issues, yourself or Jesse, anybody can reach out to me by email or reach out to my community affairs, and we're happy to, get back to you or, meet in person, whatever you, need.
All right, terrific. We appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Be safe, everyone.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move now to our public hearing, which is again on the proposed amendment to Western Rail Yards rezoning. I'm going to ask Paul, who chaired our last hearing on this topic, to chair it today. And just a note, because after that, we're going to move right into our public session, which Leslie will chair, our first vice chair. And just want to note that we are going to limit all comments today to 1 minute due to the overwhelming crowds. So apologies for that. I misspoke earlier.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is not my first public hearing. Welcome, everyone. This is the public hearing on the zoning alterations for the Western Rail Yards. This is the second public hearing at full board, and the board will be voting out our letter of recommendation following discussion on agenda item number 2. The letter has been published on the website. The applicant has made presentations to Hell's Kitchen Land Use Committee twice, the Transportation Planning Committee, and Waterfront Parks and Environment Committee. At each of those meetings, public comments were considered as part of our discussions. To that end, I'd ask if you're speaking this evening that you keep in mind that we have quite a lot of input already, and we're going to have quite a lot tonight. We have over 35 speakers. So if you can focus some of your comments on the contents of the letter that has already been written and submitted on public domain. If you haven't read it, don't worry, but your comments will still be considered. Because as Jessica just pointed out, because we have so many people, we are going to limit people to 1 minute. If somebody has said something that you agree with and you want to come up, state your name, why you're here, you can say, I agree, and sit down so that we can not be here until whatever. All right, so I'm going to start with the list of the people in the room. Then we'll move to the people who signed up online. I'll call off 3 names at a time. You can come up here and line up here, come to the microphone when it's your turn to get your 3 minutes. So I'm going to start with Karen Jacob, then Joshua David, then, and I'm sorry, Mario Fredericks. So Karen, Joshua, and Mario, please come forward.
One minute. Thank you. Thank you for that. My name's Karen Jacob, and I have lived on West 22nd Street for over 40 years. I am very invested in this community.
I'm sorry.
Can I reset the clock?
Reset the clock.
Yeah. My name is Karen Jacob, and I've lived on West 22nd Street for over 40 years. I am very invested in this community. I am here today speaking on behalf of the West 400 Block Association, CCBA, where I am the film liaison collecting monies for the community, and also for the High Line, where I've been a volunteer since before it opened in 2009, the year of the present zoning. Originally, the tallest buildings were to be in Hudson Yards East, and then a gradual stepping down to Western Rail Yards West and ending up at the Hudson River. The new zoning reduces housing, and particularly it reduces affordable housing. Now more than ever, when the number one need in New York is more housing and more affordable housing. We are also so lucky to have the Hudson River, and this new plan greatly limits the public access to one of New York's greatest accesses. As the Land Use Committee said last month, plan is a bad plan. The greediness of this new plan is embarrassing. Thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks. Hi, I'm Joshua David. Some of you know me as the co-founder of the High Line, but tonight I speak as your neighbor, a Chelsea resident for 38 years, and a former Community Board 4 member. The related wind proposal is a disgrace. It reeks of greed and disregard for the well-being of this community. I thank the committee for their proposed letter of rejection, and I urge the board to ratify it wholeheartedly. I watched this board hammer out the original rezoning, making carefully considered compromises along the way. This proposal makes a mockery of that thoughtful process. Housing units are cut, skyline and river views are walled off, a carefully planned mixed-use neighborhood is wiped away for a garish Las Vegas-style monstrosity that has no place on Manhattan's west side. We wanted to live in Las Vegas, we would live in Las Vegas. I thank the board for the care they've put into all major land use proposals during my 38 years in this district. This is the board that negotiated the first ever 197, blah, 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 blah. It is time to pull the plug on this arrogant, money-grubbing power play. I have complete faith that you will do the right thing as you have done so many times before. Thank you.
We'll have Maro next. Following Maro, I'm going to ask James Boyd, Omar Ahmed, and Kelvin Ahmed to come forward.
Hi, my name is Martin Friedrichs. I am, so not Mario. I am here to speak in support of the rezoning and in support of the plan. I do realize that there have been other plans in the past, but the problem is we live in a now, and we live in a city with 500,000 apartments needed, and every apartment that's being built is an apartment that's needed and will eventually become affordable, even if it's not affordable now. I also own a business in New York City, and I need hotel rooms, and I need people. I need more hotel rooms, and we don't have enough hotel rooms in New York City. So every time we fight and we delay and we wait, those people stay in other cities. And as for the apartments, New York City and New York State lost a congressional seat in the last census because we were 89 apartments short. Thank you.
Good evening, how are you? And Happy New Year to everyone. I'm an owner of business in the corner of 30th Street and 11th Avenue for almost 20 years. My business is 24 hours, 7 days. So I see everything coming along with this, related company. I trust this company. And we need them to continue working in the neighborhood because they are doing a phenomenal work, and no one can compete like what they do for the neighborhood. And just look at the neighborhood 20 years until look at it today. You didn't need nobody to tell you what it is and how it is. Just look at it. Go look at it from anywhere, from Jersey, from Brooklyn, from anywhere. Just look at it. That's what I can say.
Next three speakers, Ina Selden, Alan Van Capel, and Eleno. Joaquin Eleno. Okay. I will remind everyone, please, we respect everyone's opinions. So please try not to react to comments in a positive or negative way. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ina Selden. I'm a resident of Hell's Kitchen. I write about New York. I love New York. And I'm here to talk about the switch that's being offered by Related from proposing 80% housing and 20% commercial to 20% housing and 80% commercial on a piece of property that is owned by us, owned by the city. Related now says it can't afford to create a platform without the revenue from a gambling casino. They say this with a straight face. In other meetings, they've said that Wynn casinos have a better clientele than the average casino. I think they've seen too many James Bond movies. They say this with a straight face. They say not to worry about a school facing a resort whose main attraction is a casino. The school will no longer face a beautiful park. It will be, according to Related, somewhere underneath. Well, anyway, Related was willing to watch 4 people jump from the vessel for the pet project of its owner. He now has a new pet project, a casino.
Thank you.
My name is Alan Van Capel, and I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Highline. I know you all have a full agenda, so I'm going to keep my remarks very brief. I've seen many community boards. I served on CB3 across town once upon a time, and I have never been more impressed with the professionalism and the dedication that this board has shown through this process. I want to especially thank the chairs of the Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use Committee, Paul and JD and Joe Restuccia, who have been drivers in this process. You have listened to this community, including the nearly 6,000 supporters of our campaign and the 3,500 people who have signed petitions calling on you to help protect the Highline. You've looked to the future and you have said we are not going to miss this opportunity. That hasn't been easy for you to do, but you have been resolute. Our organization urges the full community board to vote unanimously to deny the application before you. And Friends of the Highline is prepared to start to work tomorrow with other community stakeholders to develop a plan that is good for our neighborhood. Thank you so much.
The next 2 speakers, please. Tom Morris, Bismarck Haney, I hope I have that right, and Michelle Spinner.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joaquin Eleno. I'm from Chelsea Elliott Houses, and either other people have already said it or they're going to come up and say it, but I wanted to say my own experience. I feel like Related tries to say a lot about what they're trying to do for the community, acting as if they're one in the community, and that they're trying to give us jobs and give us help, when in reality, a lot of the times they're just giving construction jobs is going to be given to somebody else. But the real jobs that are here, the people in the community don't get. My own cousin, who lives 2 hours and 30 minutes away from here, got a job sooner than I have, and I've lived in this community since I was a little kid. I was born here and raised here, and I feel like I should have a say here. And I'll wrap mine up a little bit earlier.
Hello, my name is Tom Morris, and I've lived in New York and in the West Village at Christopher and Washington for almost 26 years. And I'm very grateful for the board's diligent and thorough analysis of this rezoning proposal. I'm a docent with the Highline and other volunteering with the Highline, and I echo the other things that people representing the Highline have been saying here tonight and elsewhere over the last many months. The Highline is one of those things that, the year before the pandemic, we know that the Highline had more than 7 million visitors, which is roughly the population of New York City. And for this rezoning proposal, which changes so much of what was in the 2009 proposal that everyone was able to agree to, changes so much that I hope that the board will make the right decision and deny it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bismarck Genny. I'm a high school senior at Quest to Learn at the James Baldwin Building. I live at West 42nd Street, and I've been going to school in Chelsea since 2017. I want to start by giving a big thank you to the community board for standing up for our neighborhood by considering the rezoning application for the Western Rail Yard so carefully. I know that reviewing development plan proposals and listening to concerns from residents take a lot of time and hard work. And that decision shows how much you care about preserving the neighborhood and community that I so care about so deeply. Rezoning for a project like this is what changed the character of our neighborhood in ways that would hurt the people who live here. Your decision, should you do the right thing and reject the rezoning application, also helps protect our open spaces and creates an opportunity for the housing we so desperately need. Your choice won't help. Your choice today won't just help us now, it protects what make this community so special for the next generation. It shows you're thinking about the kind of generation and neighborhood you want us, the younger residents, to inherit. I hope the community can continue to work together to find better ways to grow and develop, actually serve everyone.
We have a request from the president and vice president of London Terrace to speak. I'm going to consolidate one person for 2 minutes. So Michelle, 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Spinner. I am the I am the vice president of the London Terrace Tenants Association, which represents the tenants of the 1,000-unit apartment complex that is London Terrace Gardens. On behalf of my neighbors, I urge you to vote to deny the related wind rezoning application plan for the Western Rail Yards. I also want to say up front that I wholeheartedly applaud the CB4 Land Use Committee for recognizing a once-in-a-generation opportunity for a legacy construction project on the west side, a project which could truly bring the much-needed affordable housing, public space, and schools our community and our city so desperately need. A casino in the Western Rail Yards is anathema to this community, but Related's revised plan is unacceptable with or without the casino. And you've heard all the reasons why, so I won't reiterate them now. I will just say one thing, which is that most importantly, the revised plan offers less than half the original plan's housing and even fewer apartments designated as affordable, a need that has only grown exponentially since 2009. If Related cannot build the 2009 plan, we urge them to step aside so the city and state can replace them with a nonprofit developer that could build the housing we so desperately need, or to realize the Land Use Committee's visionary legacy construction project to develop a significant amount of affordable housing and open public space on the west side. Again, we urge you to please deny Related's revised plan and the change in zoning that comes with it. I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you very much for your careful consideration of the needs of our community. I've been really, really impressed with the board. Thank you.
Next up, Brian Chen, Kat Lafferty, and then Sally Greenspan. Brian, Kat.
I'll keep my remarks brief. Thank you, Community Board 4, for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Brian Chen, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the Chinese American Planning Council. We are a nearly 60-year-old social service organization rooted in community and anchored throughout New York City, including our Manhattan Community Service Center that serves tens of thousands of residents across the borough annually. As an organization that provides linguistically accessible and culturally competent employment services and wraparound supports, the Chinese American Planning Council is supportive of the inclusive, community-integrated workforce and economic development potential of the Hudson Yards West project as it aligns with our agency's mission to promote the social and economic empowerment of immigrant, low-income New Yorkers. Through the project's commitment to supporting workforce training, job creation, and career advancement, Hudson Yards West is positioned to be an opportunity hub inclusive of the small business community and the city's diverse but often marginalized populations, including multilingual and multi-generational immigrants, individuals with disabilities, and unemployed and underemployed residents served by community organizations such as the Chinese American Planning Council. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Lafferty. I'm a 25-year resident of Hell's Kitchen. I implore you, please, Community Board 4 to unanimously vote against the Western Rail Yard's proposed amendment. I have been a long time steering committee member in Community Garden on West 48th. It's one of the original Green Gorilla Gardens. And I'm a cultural anthropologist and historian of decorative arts and design by academic background. And I would also urge Related to look at this site as a cultural opportunity. How about the Tate Modern or the Guggenheim Venice, perhaps a museum at this location, in addition to the affordable housing that we were promised years ago. I resent reneging on the promise, and I think that Related has the bandwidth to consult with others who might have the capital to provide a cultural center instead of something that would be negative for children, for example, let alone us residents.
Sorry, would be Matt Robinson, Michael Picarello, and Fons Cervera.
Before the clock starts, I was going to start by talking about how great the position is of the community board and thank them, but I don't want to take 30 seconds doing that. Because I don't have time to say everything else, but thanks for a great job. Now, okay, I'm Sally Greenspan. I'm president of the Council of Chelsea Block Associations. The Chelsea community keeps coming back to the underlying issue of the new proposed plan, and that is the loss of new housing. As noted in previous testimony by CCBA, housing is one of the major challenges facing the entire country, and it is a major challenge in the New York City area as well. Our CB4 community has long dedicated history of fighting for affordable and middle-income housing, and decades of planning included the planned RY housing. Tossing 4,000 units for commercial development is unacceptable. As pointed out in the letter to city planning, that's approximately 10% of the planned stock. With regard to the challenges of financing, housing is probably a priority for almost every governor and mayor in this country, and this city is no different. We urge the developers to work with the state and the city to think outside of the box for financial approaches and solutions to fund the platform and other seemingly financial challenges to ensure that the end product yields what this community needs most desperately, more housing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Picarillo. I am from the Carpenters Union. We're based out of the West Village here in New York City. Here to speak in support of the project at the Hudson Rail Yards. Just off job creation alone, it's going to create hundreds, if not thousands, of construction jobs and then permanent jobs afterwards. So we urge the board to definitely approve this project and let it go forward. Thank you.
Next is the Tom Cervera, Wright Harvey, Laurie Marbold.
Hi, my name is Matthew Robinson, and I've been in the Chelsea area for over 50 years. What I want to talk about is basically when you look at a neighborhood, I think of housing. I don't think of office buildings. Also, with the change of how people use office space, people are going to offices far less than before. It's not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's 2 days a week, 3 days a week. During that other time, they're actually back at home. So the idea of having a home that is also your office, a home that you're using your neighborhood is very, very important. You're not going to the office the way that you used to. And I think that has to be strongly considered when looking at the application. And 4,000 units is much better than 2,000 units. And at 4,000 units, I think of that as a neighborhood. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wright Harvey. I'm a small business owner and I'm a resident of New York for the past 20 years. I'm here tonight because I have a vested interest in New York. It's where I live. It's where I'm raising my family. It's where I run my business. The opportunity we have with the Western Yards is immense. Today, it sits as a wasteland with graffiti, needles, and rust. It's not hard to imagine a better use of this land. It's also not hard to see what we can do with it. Just look right across the street, where related companies converted a similar wasteland into the Hudson Yards, one of the most exciting neighborhoods in New York City. My art gallery sat right under the High Line at 28th Street. And while I would describe the High Line as the lifeblood of the neighborhood, I would also describe the Hudson Yards as its beating heart. I would like to cast my vote in favor of related companies that we should give them the permission to build a neighborhood we will all be proud of. Thank you.
After Lori will be Kevin Rutter and Susan Marshall.
Hi, I'm Lori Marveld, lifelong New Yorker, third generation. I live on 22nd Street and I'm here as a leader and co-chair of the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd Street Block Association. First, I want to thank this board for all its work so far in reviewing this rezoning application. I know that this community board does not have the ability to formally support or reject the casino license, which is the 800-pound gorilla of this rezoning application. But we all know that this rezoning application comes before the community board because the applicants for this rezoning will also be applicants for a casino license. As our community and this community board consider the impact of this rezoning application on the community's character, you must consider the impact of a casino, the first in New York City. In Chelsea, really? A casino adjacent to a residential neighborhood, really? That would be awful and quite tragic for the thousands of residents here. We're a rich residential community. This would be a terrible change.
Hi, my name is Kevin Rutter. I'm a Chelsea resident. Between 34th Street and 18th Street on 10th and 11th Ave is one of the least trafficked parts of the city. Look at public NYC restaurant data. There's not that many restaurants. The High Line is great. I love it, but it's above ground and does not help the business owners that are on ground level and want more foot traffic. The High Line Association and Water Parks and Environment Committee are out of touch with the residents of Chelsea. I've been at 3 community meetings now, and there's been way too much discussion about shadows and wind. Residents in Chelsea don't care about shadows. We want jobs, restaurants, coffee shops, foot traffic, activity. A busy neighborhood is a safe neighborhood. Many business owners support this plan. Businesses matter. We want affordable housing, which this plan provides. The Hudson Yard West development would have spillover effects and make Chelsea better. On the west side of Chelsea, we would like to have more than abandoned warehouses and empty streets at night. We need to be realistic about the costs of obstructionism. It has killed all opportunity in West Chelsea. Thank you.
Susan will have Cynthia Bathurst and Jean Cox. And this will be the end of my sheets for people who signed up in the room. If somebody did sign up and I didn't call on you, please come speak to me and I'll see if I can get you up. All right, Susan?
Susan Marshall. I'm the secretary of the 300 West 18th and 19th Streets Block Association. I'm also a delegate of the Council of Chelsea Block Associations. And I'm here to echo Sally's and Karen's and Michelle's and Joshua's sentiments, and also just to say kudos to you, board, and kudos for people to coming together. I would just ask CB4 board if you could add either, I'm not sure the exact language, but either subsidized housing or affordable housing in your letter. And thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I'm Cynthia Bathurst, and I'm a relatively new resident of Chelsea. I came from after many decades in Chicago, where I also worked with neighborhood associations and dealt with these kinds of plans. And I just wanted to thank the board. I've been very impressed with everything I've read and feel very educated. Thank you very much. And I just want to agree with all those things, including the fact that my final decision for moving here was the High Line and what it represents and what it does to connect the city and to other places in the United States is really important. So thank you. I hope you will recommend against the proposal.
Yeah, my name is Franklin Lowe, 363 West 19th Street, 18th, 19th Street Block Association. And I am here to speak against Related's current casino-based proposal. I have listened to people say it's going to create jobs. 5,000 housing units are going to create jobs. Residents of those housing units are going to require services for those housing units and stores and restaurants. So those things will come with housing. The last thing we need is a casino, in addition to which we've just started congestion pricing. And this is going to bring congestion to an area that does not need bridge and tunnel traffic. It needs people to occupy available space in a nice residential environment.
Yes, hi, my name is Vianne Cox, and I always get up here and I speak on behalf of my community, which is the Broadway community, which is the theater community, which is one of the largest tax revenues in New York City. And I truly, truly believe, oh, by the way, I'm a resident of 42 years of Hell's Kitchen. I have seen it change many times, but what I'm here to speak for, and I always do, is this will create jobs, yes, but it will take jobs from the thing that people come to New York City to see. Its most special commodity, its beautiful theatrical community. This will steal our lives away from us. We do not need more entertainment. We do not want people to come in and say, oh, let's go to the casino instead of seeing a Broadway show. This is a terrible, terrible thing that will happen. A casino is not a neighborhood. It will not create coffee shops, and people will come in, spend money that they don't have, lose it, and go home.
All right, thank you. We're going to now move to online commentary. The first one is Julia Campanelli and then Pamela Wolf.
I think I'm on. Hi.
Julia, go ahead. 1 minute.
1 minute. Oh, okay. I'm Julia Campanelli. I live on West 34th Street between 9th and 10th since 1980. I'm chair of my tenants association and president of Health and serves West 33rd to 35th Street between 8th and 10th Avenues. On behalf of my community and neighbors, I want to thank the community board and especially thank Clinton Health Kitchen Land Use Committee for taking on this very important land use matter of the Western rail yards. My community feels the rezoning application should not go forward. We desperately need affordable housing created with or without a casino. Related's plan would negatively impact our community and the High Line. We'd like to ensure that the High Line remains intact and protected from Related's plans. The High Line is the only green space park available to us within walking distance. The residents are asking you to please reject the rezoning application unanimously. The residents are the beating heart of the community, not the commercial developments. Thank you so much for all the work that you do.
Thank you, Joe. Pam Wolf. Hold on
hi.
a second. Okay, 1 minute, Pam.
Thank you. I am Pamela Wolf. I'm the president of Save Chelsea. Save Chelsea advocates for the preservation of our community's historic architecture and neighborhood character. We want to see the Western rail yards developed, but in a way that prioritizes what is important to our community. We have said it before, we will say it again: housing, 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 not casinos, not hotels, not office buildings. Housing. It's not complicated. We want places for people to live, not places for people to lose their shirts. We oppose Related's development plan. We oppose the upzoning sought to implement that plan. We stand in support of CB4's letter recommending denial of their plan. We stand to say no to any zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Next is Yvonne Morrow, and following Yvonne will be Carmen Matias. Carmen is gone. How about Stephen Belita?
Hi, my name is Stephen Belita.
All right, Stephen, you can go. Start, Stephen.
Okay.
1 minute, please.
My name is Stephen Belita. I co-chair the HK 4954 Block Association. Casinos do not build up neighborhoods. Their main goal is to take money out of people's pockets through addiction to gambling and take their savings, and they do not help neighborhoods. It's not an advantage for our neighborhood to have a casino. If Related cannot live up to their commitments, they should step aside and let someone else come in and do the job that we were promised. Thank you.
Next is Megan Wiley. Megan, have you been brought over? Following Megan will be Kimberly Hoover. Megan, I can see you're on. 1 minute, please. Thanks.
I'm on now. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Wiley, and I'm here today on behalf of the New York Building Congress, an organization that has proudly advocated for the growth, development, and resilience of New York City's built environment for over a century. We are here to voice our strong support for the Hudson Yards West proposal, a transformative project that will advance opportunities that not only enhance our city's infrastructure, but also create meaningful economic and social impact. The Hudson Yards West proposal represents a significant opportunity to invest in New York City's future. As envisioned, this development will generate thousands of well-paying union construction jobs, ensuring work for the skilled trades that are the backbone of our city's building industry. It'll also foster long-term union employment opportunities in operations, hospitality, and ancillary industries, creating a robust ecosystem of economic growth. The Hudson Yards West proposal is not just an investment in a building, it's an investment in the people of New York City. Thank you.
Next is Carrie Wesolowski.
Hi, I'm on, right?
Okay, Carrie, 1 minute.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Hi, my name is Carrie Wesolowski, and I am a lifelong New Yorker, third-generation New Yorker, and I'm here as an advocate of Friends of the High Line. The High Line, as an artist and a performer, has such a significance in my life. I performed as part of the Mile Long Opera. I think it's so important to bring the arts to New Yorkers. This green space will be destroyed. We have to preserve and protect our green spaces. And when I was coming out of the pandemic and I was literally threatened by a stranger on the trains that he threatened to kill me, the only place I felt safe to come back out before I got back on the train was to walk this High Line. This was a place for me to walk on the West Side, and I implore you, thank you, CB4, I implore you to vote against this, to say no to this proposal. This will destroy our community. This is a heinous, greedy proposal. We do not need a casino. A casino will bring all the things we don't want, not opportunity, but congestion and pollution and crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. The last name I have on the list is Kimberly Hoover, but Kimberly, you seem to keep denying the transfer. Are we done? I think got their hands up. Oh, tell me the names. Okay. Online, if your hand is not up at this point, we are going to close after the last hand that is currently raised. Brandon, Richard, and Anita. Brandon, Wallace, I see you. If you want to turn your camera on mute, we can get you started.
Apologies for that.
That's 1 minute, Brandon. Go ahead.
Sure. I just wanted to speak briefly in support of the project. I believe I have a bit of a unique perspective as I'm a homeowner in 15 Hudson Yards. So with two children, I can literally look out my window and see the Western Rail Yards. I believe a public park and a five-star resort would be a welcomed addition to the neighborhood as opposed to office buildings that really offer nothing to those of us who live here. I also think I have a unique perspective as I'm a business owner, an entertainment business owner in the neighborhood. I've worked with Lid in a variety of capacities. I can say they're a first-class operator. If anybody's going to bring this type of operation to the city, I believe it should be related. And then I also just wanted to correct a couple things. I'm pretty familiar with the proposals here. I've heard several people say that there's a reduction in affordable units, which is not the case. There was a reduction in luxury units, not affordable units. And to speak to the lady who spoke about Broadway before, I personally attempted to get a theater in this space, and Related has told me no, that they are not putting a theater in the win at all because they want to support the Broadway community.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Richard Marins, if you want to turn your camera on and unmute, please. Where'd you go?
It's on.
Okay, go ahead, Richard. You have 1 minute. Starts now.
Richard Marins here speaking for the West 47th, 48th Street Block Association. We are against the zoning change and support the board's position in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Anita McDonough, you're next. Anita, 1 minute.
I'm a Hell's Kitchen resident. I live at 333 West 56th Street. I'm opposed to the Hudson Yards Casino for the following reasons. Gambling can become an addiction. Steve Belita explained it well. Visitors, tourists, residents should spend and support our theaters, restaurants, and bars. Casino will compete with our unique New York City assets. Lastly, we don't have sufficient public transportation to Hudson Yards. So people will have to drive to Hudson Yards. Anyway, thank you very much. And thank you, board, for the hard work that you're doing. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Anita. Appreciate that. Michael Harachi.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah, can you show? I can't see the clock. But yeah, I don't support.
I'll give you a 10-second. Go ahead. Go ahead. And I'll give you a 10-second warning. Go.
Bullshit. You're awesome.
Clock.
I don't support this proposal. I think that to other people's points, it will fuel addiction. I think there's nothing wrong with gambling. I'm okay with things in moderation, but we need housing. People talk about affordable housing. We need supportive housing. People talk about developing the area. Let's bring in a red light district. I want to see whorehouses. I don't need to see gambling. What is this, the 60s? Come on. We have all kinds of oligarchs that are running this city. Our mayor's under investigation and his whole cabinet. We need less oligarchs and we need more housing for the people. I do not support this plan.
Thank you. Very good job on timing.
Hello, my
It's
name is
nice
Miss
to-
Kenny. Can I get on?
Susan Kenny, you're up
Yeah.
next. You have 1 minute starting now.
I want to know about, besides the casino, I want to know about the related and Essence plan to fix the Chelsea apartments, and when is that going to start?
Okay, if people have signed up for things other than the Western Rail Yards rezoning, we're currently on the Western rezonings. Susan, we can call on you during public session to comment on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so again, reminder to anybody else that's hand is up now. We are still in a public hearing on the Western Rail Yards rezoning. Michael Walsh, you're next. Michael, I see you're muted. You're gonna pass. Is that a pass signal? Oh, upside down. There we go. He's having problems with his. Michael, if you can work that out. If I see your mute sign come off, I'll come back to you. Okay, Amber Nicosia. And then following Amber will be John Mudd. Amber? Amber, if you can put your camera on unmute, that would be helpful.
Good
Okay.
evening, Amber Nicosia. Thank you for hosting us this evening. I'm the president at Penn South. We're an affordable housing community with about 5,000 residents here in Chelsea. We are a unique community as we are classified as a NORC. That's a naturally occurring retirement community. The majority of our residents are senior citizens. I've been asked by the leadership of our senior center to come here to advocate for adhering to the original zoning plan that was fought for in 2009. Casinos and seniors historically are two communities where there's a lot of vulnerability and there are a lot of issues with people who are on fixed income, losing a larger percentage of that income to participation in casinos or gambling institutions. So it's something we're very real to our community that we have concerns for. We're not against development. We're very excited to see more affordable housing and a school in this area. And we're very excited to see the alternative options that we believe can come from related once we get past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Following John Mudd. John, you can start now with your 1 minute.
Okay, thanks. John Mudd here with Midtown South Community Council. We've been around since 84. This is a wealth extraction development. It's not really development. We're not developing. We need communities. We need to build communities. We could farms there. We could wipe out the food insecurity. We should be able to end homelessness. We should. It's a housing. And the idea of doing casino, you can just look where they've been developed casinos, and you have a crystal ball of what we're to expect. I mean, they're doing the same thing they're doing with NYCHA and our healthcare, and they're stripping us down, and we're doubling down. If we even entertain this idea, we're going to be so stripped down as far as a society. It's just doubling down on ruining our society. I can't tell you how.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, John. Next,
Okay.
we're going to have, and I see Michael Walsh. I see that your mute signal's off. Can you try speaking?
Yes, sorry about that.
That's good. You can have your 1 minute now.
Thank you. I want to thank the whole board and the committee for their letter. I think you guys are all doing a great job. I've heard a lot of people praise the Hudson Yards and what the related company has done. If you like what they have done, it is because of compromise. Everything that is there today is because of compromise. And if we don't have compromise moving forward, then we're all just going to end up like the old divorced guy in the country song who says, she got the gold mine and I got the shaft. Don't give our communities the shaft. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. The next series of speakers are going to be Jacqueline Velez, and Roberta Gelb, and then we're going to close the hearing. So, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, if you could turn your camera on and unmute, please.
That's on mute, and I don't have my camera. I'm so sorry.
That's fine, thanks.
Nonetheless, my name is Jackie Velez, and I live on 17th Street at Fulton Houses. I'm here to speak against the Western Rail Yards rezoning proposal. It would change the character of our neighborhood. I don't like the idea of a casino. I do feel that we are missing brand new schools and even more so medical facilities, because we lost St. Vincent's years ago and we're losing Beth Israel. So it's of grave concern that the original zoning proposals be kept, and let's keep light on the High Line. It is a special, beautiful place. I worked there. It's a worldwide destination. Let's keep the High Line as it is.
Thank you, Jackie. If you can unmute, put your camera on, please. So we have not seen you unmute. I'm going to move on to Roberta. Roberta Gelb, if you can unmute and put your camera on, please.
Hi there.
1 minute starts now. Thank you.
I just want to say we fully support the unanimous vote on December 12th by the Community Board, Clinton Hell's Kitchen Land Use Committee to reject this bid and these changes. The rezoning would support commercial development, including the construction of a casino. The 2009 included creation of housing. This has a lot less housing and it's not affordable housing. It's going to bring in more commercial entities. A change to the height limit would permit the construction of 2 very tall commercial towers. The current change will overthrow the 2009 agreement, reducing housing. We've negotiated this before. What's the point of having an agreement if you can come back and just undermine them? We need things like a hospital. Bravo to the person who said hospitals. We are in desperate need of support services. This does not fill any needs of our community. Thank you.
We're going to give you one more try. I see you've been moved over, but I don't see you unmuted. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to call it. All right. Thank you all very much. Great public hearing. Appreciate it. It's closed.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone who came today. We are now going to move on to our public session and then to hear from our electeds and then to the business. So if you are interested in staying, you're of course welcome. We encourage it, but if you'd like to leave, now is a great time. I also wanted to just acknowledge JD co-chair together with Paul, who should share in the praise that was given to today. Okay, if everyone who is leaving though can quietly leave and do so now, then we'll begin our public session.
It doesn't say. Where's everyone going? No.
So we need you to leave kindly. Thank you for coming, but we need to move on with the rest of our agenda and we don't have this space all evening. So if we are to get to a vote on this matter, we need you to depart.
We're going to continue with the general public session. It's going to be the same, pretty much same rules, 1 minute. The 4 people
also please.
Everyone in the room, guys, there's still other people who are going to talk about other topics. So if you just leave quietly, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much. There are 4 people here in person. I'm just going to call them up. Joshua David, Jessica Smith, James Boyd, and Ann Casper. And the same rules apply, 1 minute.
I'm back. Hi, I'm Joshua David, a 38-year resident of West 21st Street, which is 1 block away from Bright Elephant's proposed cannabis dispensary. I thank the committee for proposing a rejection of that application, and I urge the board to ratify that rejection. The proposed location is inappropriate and unacceptable. It is on one of the most drug-plagued blocks of Chelsea. PS 11 is a half block away. Elementary school students must navigate sidewalks with folks who are openly smoking pot, meth, and crack, shooting up and engaging in open drug transactions. We have shooting galleries and public sex on the stoops and in the vestibules neighboring PS 11. We have fully naked men walking down the street in a daze and out-of-control individuals harassing passersby, wandering into traffic, and aggressively swinging bats and 2x4s. Storefront windows are regularly smashed. Some businesses don't bother repairing them. Others move out altogether. The block is home to 2 adult bookstores with basement viewing booths that are open 24 hours, with patrons that split their nights between the basements and the sidewalks out front. To add a cannabis dispensary to this mix will throw gasoline on a fire that our community is doing its best to tamp down. I urge you to say no in the strongest possible terms. Thank you very much.
Jessica?
My name is Jessica Smith. I am a resident of West 43rd Street, longtime Hell's Kitchen resident. I'm also an active member of the West 43rd Street Block Association. I'd like to ask that the community board, to the degree that it's within your power over the next year, consider two issues that really affect the community, maybe not like some that have been raised, but one is enforcement of traffic noise restraints, noise cameras, whatever is the right technology. It really needs to be better addressed. And on the other hand, as we look back at spending in this past year, traffic cops are grossly overstaffed, wasteful, and not a good use of resources, which the city clearly needs. Those are my comments.
Thank you. James, go ahead. 1 minute.
I'm James Boyd from Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen, and to your chair's original point about health and safety, in the area around which you've been discussing, 1 week from tonight, Hudson River Park Trust will talk about the development of the park in that area. And for 26 years, the Hudson River Park Trust has pimped the health and safety of its own park employees and volunteers, the great park organizations, heliport adjacent compost workers, pickleball players, and 8 million other New Yorkers for the toxic privilege of wealthy flights. I'm sure they'll close the heliport next Monday. When you come to that meeting, please ask them. Apparently, they're going to speak with the public, which is extremely unusual for the trust. Meanwhile, electeds have quickly fallen for the greenwashing of electric private helicopters, squandering legislation so urgently needed for electric public transportation.
Anne?
Hello, I'm Ann Casper, and Casper with a K because I'm for real. And I've been working in mental health for 30 years, and we moved down the block here on 44th Street about a year ago. So happy to be here. I'd like to thank you for doing the stressful job of being on here. I'm bringing in some solutions that came from Oregon. I know Oregon doesn't have the best reputation now, but we do have some solutions with the police. I worked with police in doing special training on how to handle people with mental health issues. We started an ECIT, Enhanced Crisis Intervention Teams, where the police choose to work with people with mental health issues. They actually do a better job. And I know we have something called Be Heard. I'm also with the Global Mental Health Peer Network all over the world, working on different kinds of solutions in mental health. So I'm here in the neighborhood. Eric Botcher's team told me I should say hello to you, so I am. And thank you.
So I think now, Jesse, with your help, we're going to go to the people online. I'll just go in order. Is that okay with you?
Here we have Miriam.
Yeah, Miriam, then Pamela, and then I believe Susan, who came up before, and then Miriam, can you hear me? Miriam Fisher? Well, and Miriam, if you can't hear me or you can hear me while you're getting on, we'll go to Pamela. I see you, Pamela.
Go to
Pamela, yes.
So
there you go.
here I am again, wearing another hat, which is that of the Chelsea West 200 Block Association. I think our president, Jasenko, is also going to have something to say, and I'm pretty sure he's going to say what I would say. So this has to do with Bright Elephant, and I think we've already expressed pretty thoroughly how unpleasant having another cannabis shop in that location would be for us. Thanks. I'll let it go.
Thank you, Pamela. You see Miriam? Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Miriam. Your 1 minute starts now.
Okay. Last month, I presented at CB4 Transportation Committee hearing advocacy for improved bus stops, benches, shelter from waiting for a bus in bad weather like today, snow, rain, heat. CB4 is drafting a letter to the Department of Transportation concentrating on bus stops in 23rd Street as a first step. But anybody in CB4, any resident in any block with the bus stop that is not serving their needs may make a request on their own with the links independently. And Christine Birthday is going to put all the links on the community board for website for people to have available if they want to improve their stop and not stand in the snow waiting for a bus. That's all.
Thank you, Miriam. Susan, I do see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I want to
Yep,
know.
go ahead. Your 1 minute
I
starts
want
now.
to
Go
know
ahead.
about the hospitals and more medical care, and also the library on 23rd Street, Muhlenberg, that they never fixed, and what's going to happen with that, and plus the Chelsea Rec Center that's falling apart, and it's a vital asset to Chelsea and everything else put together. And then the next thing is the homeless population that's in my building. And when are they going to make the new apartments for us that they're talking about? Or Essence and Related are lying to this question, or what they doing? And they're going to put the disabled people out of their apartments? Hello, I'm waiting for somebody to answer me those questions.
You know, it's a big question.
Yeah.
We can talk about that if you want, Susan. We can connect you with the appropriate committee. Is that okay if we put you in touch with our office, and then the committee that handles that can get into further detail with you?
Can you send it to my email, the phone number?
Sure. I believe we have that. Actually, I do have your email right here, and I can send it to the office, and we can definitely connect you, if not tonight, tomorrow.
And your name? Your name?
My name is Leslie.
Okay, thank you. Because a lot of the people on there are from CDRC, which I represent, CDRC, Chelsea Reform Democratic Club, and I love it. I love them, and they're helping, and they're doing the best they can. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Susan. Happy New Year to you too. Jesse, we have Steve Belita here, but I have a feeling that he was from the, yeah. Amy Marshall, Lisa Wager, and Jackie Lara.
Oh, Jackie Lara.
Jackie's gone. Okay, Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, there you are, Amy. Okay, great. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, I'm Amy Marshall, the Associate Director of Education at the Paul Taylor Dance Company. We are new to your community here. We're on 38th Street between 8th and 9th, and we are having an open house this weekend. We have 6 brand new studios, and we'd love to invite you to come and take free classes. We have performances, and to spread the word, we're very excited about this. There's dance classes, fitness classes for all ages, performances by our teen ensemble. We have an after-school program and open classes that we offer every single day. So please spread the word. Paul Taylor, 38th Street between 8th and 9th this Sunday from 10 to 4, free classes and free performances. Thank you.
Thank you. What was the address again, Amy?
307 West 38th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue on the 9th floor.
Great. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
Lisa. Happy New Year, Lisa.
Happy New Year, happy Three Kings Day. And I think something's happened in Washington today. Hi, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on West 27th Street with the Residence Hall on 31st, just west of 9th in the district. I hope everyone got some type of restorative break last month to fortify for the new year. I'm here with an FIT update. I'm very pleased to share that FIT is once again producing the City Source Vendor Fair this year on Wednesday, January 15th, excuse me, from 10 to 5 in Reeves Great Hall. City Source was started in 2011 to connect designers and small businesses with local fashion manufacturers in the city. And with the generous support of the Garment District Alliance, FIT's Center for Continuing and Professional Studies has produced an in-person trade show every year with a pause during COVID, highlighting and making connections with factories and businesses within the Garment District, nurturing the small workshops and the identity of the district. The event brings a wide variety of vendors, including pattern and sample makers. Well, it's really cool to walk through, and lots of different small vendors and suppliers of marketing.
Thank you, Lisa.
It's free, and it's open to the public, and it's January 15th from 10 to 5 on campus.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We have Jasenko Vukadinovich.
Hi, just 1 second. So my name is Jasenko Vukadinovich, and I'm here to represent Chelsea West 200 Block Association, of which I'm the president. I'm here to reiterate our opposition to the application by Bright Elephant LLC at 206 8th Avenue, which is physically located within the limits of our block association. While we do not oppose illegal licensed cannabis stores in general, we remain in opposition to the approval of this particular license for the following reasons. One, the applicant repeatedly ignored our attempts to engage with them in a meaningful conversation. Two, the site is on a block that is notorious within the community for illegal activities that range from loitering, illegal drug sales, and fencing operations. And three, it is steps away from PS 11 and a few blocks away from many middle and high schools. The Cannabis Task Force recommended the rejection of the application during their last meeting. I want to ask the committee to adopt their recommendation. During the last meeting of this body, the full committee went against one such recommendation, which has shaken our faith in the process and if our voices are truly heard. We
thank
hope
you,
that the committee follows the recommendation and restores our trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jesse, you said Milagros was not on?
Salinas, Michael Hirachi, and then Miguel Acevedo.
Okay. Salinas, can you hear me? They're not over yet. Got you.
Salinas is over.
Hi, Salinas. I don't know if you heard, but we're doing 1 minute for this public session tonight. Can you hear me? She's not. Okay, Michael Hirachi, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hello?
can.
Hello.
Hello?
Okay. Salinas, hold on 1 second. Michael,
Okay.
go ahead. 1 minute.
May this be the year of truth, justice, and accountability. I ask Community Board 4 to look at where their fingerprints lie. In 2025, the Gaza Holocaust is still ongoing. We have major multinational newspaper media organizations like CNN, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Anti-Defamation League, all within the Community Board or adjacent to, all aiding and abetting war crimes in Gaza. May I remind the Community Board, there is no statute of limitations for war crimes. I urge you to look at every elected official from the council up and where their fingerprints lie in killing over 300,000 Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Thank you so much.
Salinas, you could hear me now, right?
Yes.
Oh,
you hear
hi.
me?
Okay. Yes, go ahead. We could hear you.
Okay, the Fulton Elliott Chelsea P&A analysis that was done for NYCHA is on the Essence website. But let's be clear, the independent audit that was completed for related companies, that audit in which demolition is being based on is not on any website. It has not been publicly disclosed. Please understand, there's two cost analyses, one that was done for NYCHA and one that was done for related companies. And that's the one we should be asking to see. To make you aware that Renee Keat has been selected to be our new TA leader for Elliott Chelsea houses. Our old leader, Darlene Waters, was never proactive in any way, shape, or form. You can testify to that. She has not been to the public CB4 meetings, and she barely holds any TA meetings on our campus. But somehow they submitted a protest against Renee's victory. She won fair and square, and this deceiving crowd that are all tied in with related, somehow someone is trying to sabotage our victory. Thank you.
Thank you, Salinas. We have two more. Miguel Acevedo. I see Miguel is there, and I also see Alexa. Miguel, can you hear me?
Hi, how you doing, Lynn? Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. As I heard, 100% of the people that are against the Hudson Yard Casino proposal mentioned one of the most important things of this community, affordable housing. Housing. Our proposal by Related for Fulton and Elliott Chelsea is all about housing. So as you listen to the community, remember what they continue to ask for, what our proposal is going to bring to the community. Decent living at Fulton and Elliott Chelsea houses, which we live in horrible conditions. Right now, I have two buildings with no heat, zero heat, 20-something degrees outside. So remember what this same community and what some of these board members keep talking about is housing. So remember, we need housing. Our proposal is about affordable housing with mixed income and brand new apartments for the residents of Fulton and Chelsea. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Miguel. And we're gonna end it off with Alexa. Can you hear me? Miss Cruz?
Yes, could you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. You're gonna take us out here on your 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Alexa and I'm from NYCHA. And I always say save Section 9. And I'm protecting the low income, affordable rents for everyone. I don't believe in essence related. I don't believe, and about what Selena was speaking, that somehow something is happening with sabotage or something like that. I think it was fair. The votes were fair. And if we want to lead as tenants, we should be able to lead as tenants, not by elected officials or anyone else. And I asked the board to take save Section 9 to consideration to save us from all this. I know they're going to want to build casinos and they want to do a lot of other things, but essence related is destroying our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it, right, Jesse?
That's it.
That is it. Here ends the public session. Thank you, everybody.
Clap for that.
Thank you, Leslie. Our first public session of 2025. All right, we are gonna now move in. You all should have a copy of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Chair, on behalf of Carrie and the co-chairs of Chelsea Land Use, we want to request permission to withdraw item number 3. That's the letter to elected reps regarding NYCHA, Fulton, Elliott, Chelsea proposal. Was requesting a meeting. That meeting is already scheduled.
Great. Are there any objections? Why the motion or it was not a motion, but because we don't need a motion at this time, but the request was to remove the letter because the letter is specifically to request a meeting with electeds. That meeting has been secured. And so the need for that letter is no longer, on the table. Are there any objections? The meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 9th. Can you use a mic so everyone can hear you?
Can someone give David the mic?
I'd still like the letter to be voted on as an expression of the community board's concerns to the electeds. It would be a matter of public record.
I do want to note that there is another item, in the Dropbox, an admin letter, which is not the same in content, but is similar, which expressed the concerns and requested the meeting, which again was secured. And then those other concerns are expected to both be represented in the meeting that is secured and in future conversations, both with electeds and the public. But if there are no
Real
objections.
quickly, Corbett, after hearing the chair's response, are you still looking to object to the request to withdraw the item?
No, I'll no longer object.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't need a motion. Given that, we don't need a motion, seeing as there were no other objections. And so we will strike that item. And for those who want to contact me about that meeting that is now scheduled, we just recently got it scheduled. Happy to discuss that offline as well as together with the committee. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, David. We're now going to move on to the minutes. I want to thank again our 2024 secretaries, Katie Stokes and Alice Wang, for the minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you. Second, Roberta. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Great. Okay. This evening, we're fortunate to have some of our electeds in person. We'll start by welcoming Councilmember Brewer. In the interest of time, we're going to ask all electeds to keep their remarks brief. But thank you, Gail, and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. I have sort of a collection of items. One is that on 38th and 39th Street, there's a lot of, I think, illegal mopeds in terms of e-bikes, all kinds of devices with batteries being locked up overnight. And so I'm just letting you know that the staff of the oversight committee that I chair has been going. We're bugging police, fire, the folks at Consumer to say, lock these stores up. They should not be having overnight plugged in batteries, sometimes 60 or 80 of them. So I just want to be sure that maybe that would be something that the community board might want to bring up and to give us some support. Number two, in terms of pedicabs in general, I think you know that there's been a lot of activity. I know that in the Central Park, we've been meeting with the deputy mayor for public safety, the folks again from some of these agencies. And I also always want to thank Judge Wang, your Midtown Court, amazing judge, because I think a lot of these issues are going to his courthouse and he's taken a great interest. That's in Central Park. And I think we would like to have, we have a bill that we're going to introduce saying that the Central Park Conservancy should make these pedicabs a concession. And then they would have some oversight over them. That would be a solution that I think would make sense. In terms of the ones that are in the streets, which are also in your district, I know that again, with my staff from oversight, they have been going out at night to watch what gets done. If you have, enforcement, if you have a battery that's illegal, if you have a driver that doesn't have a license, that's illegal. And to make a long story short, there are 4 ways that you can be enforced illegally, that you are not providing legal operation of that pedicab. Just last night, they stopped 9 and seized 5. One cab had $100 a minute. That's how much they were charging people. So we have got to do something about these operating. Participatory budgeting, I think we know that we do that. The votes are going to be very quickly, I think March 29th to April 6th, and we have a volunteers meeting on February 6th. The voting is March 29th to April 6th. So people, I think there are items that will be coming up in community board 4. Let us know if you have any interest in that topic. We have several bills. One of them, again, my favorite topic, smoke shops. And so we have a couple of bills that pass that make sure that 311 takes the call for smoke shops. In the past, they did not, just to let you know. We also have 2 hearings coming up on the oversight of police department at the end of January and February. If you have interest, let us know. We just had a hearing on city-funded homeless shelter providers and all the issues of their contracts. Quite interesting and lots of money involved. Finally, I just want to mention in the back there, you'll see our newsletter. We have a Narcan CPR training coming up. We have a day at the Metropolitan Museum for free. The museum will be yours on February 15th. You're welcome to join us. We have book fairs for children coming up at the JCC. We have a town hall coming up on February 24th. We have 3 clinics coming up in March and April. We have a recycling day, and we have a bike helmet giveaway, just to give you some items. And then June 21st, as you know, we always do in your garden on 57th and 9th, we have music and the solstice. I have many other items, but that's quick. And thank you, Board 4, and let's work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now going to go online, and we're joined by Senator Krueger.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while for me to be able to join you, but I have Dana Schmersler, who represents me at Community Board 4. I was listening in, so I was very interested to hear so many issues. And thank you, Gail. I did not know about the pedicab issues in Central Park, but I would love to follow up with you on that as well, because that is also my territory. I don't have that much of CB4 overlapping. Just very quickly, it was a very busy session year for the legislature, but I am very proud to be able to say that the last bill the governor signed before the end of 24 was my Climate Change Superfund Act. which is nation-leading legislation that will require the worst polluters in oil, gas, and coal corporations around the world to pay us an assessment of $3 billion a year for 25 years. That would be $75 billion to help New York cover the incredibly expensive costs happening right now for remediation and climate change adaptation. Other states are watching carefully and very likely to follow our model. And the fact is that the estimate right now is that the climate change damage already in process for New York State has an estimated cost of $65,000 per household in New York State, on top of the disruption, injury, death, climate crisis is causing everywhere in our state. And frankly, if we don't get the polluters to help pay for those costs, you and I and every New Yorker is paying for it. I did not succeed in getting my Trees Act signed by the governor, which would require that companies doing business with the state of New York stop using products that destroy the borealis rainforests throughout the world. I'm not giving up on that and other major climate change legislation. I know we're all concerned about mental health issues and homeless New Yorkers. And actually, Brad Hoylman and I have recently sent a letter to the Office of Mental Health requesting information about how the investments we've made through the budget in the last year or two are actually rolling out as far as numbers of increased psychiatric beds, short-term, long-term, and specialized supportive housing units for people with severe mental illness that are living on our streets. And I'll be continuing to follow up with that in negotiations with the governor's budget. That is going to be coming out on January 22nd, 21st or 22nd, I'm not sure. And we will start our negotiations on all aspects of her budget, because frankly, I spend a huge amount of my time every year as the chair of the Finance Committee dealing with the state budget, negotiating the budget, and frankly, always having in my head, making sure that New York City is getting its rightful share of the government's budget and not to be just left out there, because it seems outside of New York City, many people in the state think we get a disproportionate share of the state's revenue, when actually we provide a disproportionate share of the tax revenue to the state, and very often don't seem that we're getting our fair share. This is day 2 of congestion pricing. I am very happy about that. I know it's controversial, but I got to tell you, the data for the first 2 days is that congestion is going down in our district. And I am hopeful that that pattern will be continuing. And within a matter of months, all the people who were saying, what the hell are we doing, will be going, oh, that was a good idea, actually. So obviously, you see the press seems to have a very anti-congestion pricing bias in the last couple of days, or maybe I'm making the mistake of reading the New York Post too carefully. But I continue to support what we've done in congestion pricing. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But many of us worked very hard for decades to get this far. I've probably gone on longer than you want me to, so thank you so much for letting me.
Thank you. We're delighted you were able to join us this evening.
Thank you.
We're now going to move to your colleague, Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel.
Thank you. Good to see everyone virtually. Thank you, Senator Krueger. $65,000 a household. That is an extraordinary accomplishment that you'll be returning to New Yorkers with the Climate Superfund Act. I'm so glad to have supported that, and congratulations. State Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel, Happy New Year to everyone. I had some bills signed in the last hours of the governor's window to do so, including one called the Stop Hiding Hate Act, which was written in response to the rising rates of hatred toward Jews, LGBTQ people, people of color. It's an outrage. If you step into X, you're stepping into a sewage waste disposal plant, in effect. And X and other social media platforms need to be held accountable by requiring their instances of hatred to be reported and their moderation policies, in addition to the New York State Attorney General. We wrote that bill in conjunction with the ADL. It's now law. I'm very proud of its passage. Another bill that the governor signed into law was a first in the nation law that requires private health insurers to cover neuropsychological exams for dyslexia and dysgraphia. That's something I've spoken about before the board in the past. I have a daughter, age 14, who is dyslexic. It costs most parents anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000 to get a neuropsychological examination and identify dyslexia. Now, private health insurance has to cover that. I'm very happy about that. A third bill that I think might be of interest is a bill that creates a Parkinson's disease registry. You know, there are thousands of New Yorkers suffering from Parkinson's disease. Right now, there's not a cure. What we need is more research. And we worked with the Michael J. Fox Foundation to establish a state Parkinson's disease registry, which is a database where Parkinson's PD patients and their families can submit demographic information and other data for researchers voluntarily, so researchers can study that and pool that with research across the nation. Other states have it now. New York does. It'll also be able to provide resources to PD patients and their families. A final bill I'll mention that was signed of mine is called the Safe Landings Act. And this new law is going to provide protections for young adults to be able to return to family court and enforce outstanding orders even after they've left the foster care system. The hope is that this will help young adults have an easier time transitioning out of foster care and give them, in effect, a safe landing to begin adulthood. So those are some good bills that were signed by our governor. I'm very thankful for that. On congestion pricing, I looked out my window this afternoon along with Jonah Rose, who's there representing our team, and I just saw a handful of cars. It was extraordinary. I hope it holds, but it is a very good start. And one of the things that you've probably been reading about is emergency response times. You know, the FDNY response times, according to a report that I wrote with Gridlock Sam Schwartz, are up by more than 70% over the past decade. So congestion pricing, I think, is going to help save lives by getting ambulances and emergency responders more quickly to the scene. Just a couple of priorities for the legislative session on mental health. Senator Krueger mentioned the letter that she and I wrote together. I sponsored a bill. We're calling it the HELP Act, which stands for Harnessing the Expertise of Licensed Professionals, which is going to expand the list of licensed practitioners who can conduct clinical examinations for involuntary hospitalization, psychiatric nurse practitioners, psychologists, and licensed social workers will be part of a group, including medical doctors, which is currently the law limits that kind of examination to just physicians. We want to expand it so more people can get directed to treatment if they need it. I'm going to be working on getting my bill with Assemblymember Simone passed, which is going to require commercial e-bikes to be licensed and other e-bikes to carry insurance. That's a bill I carry with Assembly Member Rosenthal. And I'm going to be conducting a hearing with our Senate Housing Chair on housing court. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there, not to mention making right to counsel a law that actually has an impact so that tenants do not have to show up to defend their right to stay in their homes without an attorney. And that also applies to another bill of mine called the Access to Representation Act. Equally worrisome is that more than 9 out of 10 persons who are defending the right to stay in this country as undocumented immigrants do not have legal representation. Can you imagine that? You can't, English isn't your first language. You don't know the law, and you have to defend your right to stay with your family without an attorney. We want to change that. Thank you so much. And thank you for that amazing public hearing on the Western Rail Yards proposal.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening. We're going to now move on to the representative for our Manhattan Borough President, Yiyi Wang is joining us.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year's, and hope you've had a wonderful holiday season. So affordability has been the priority for our office, and we have been incredibly focused on creating more housing, especially affordable housing, while ensuring protections for existing households in our borough and the city. Another incredibly important way we look to address affordability was announced just a couple weeks ago as the borough president called for a major expansion of free childcare in New York City. Over 441,000 children under 5 reside in New York City, with 80% of families finding the cost of childcare, particularly for infants and toddlers, to be out of reach. Families often pay a fifth of their income in childcare costs. Despite strides made with pre-K and 3K for all, only 24% of children under 5 currently benefit from public childcare, leaving most families struggling to find affordable options. These challenges disproportionately affect single-parent families, low-income and middle-income families, reducing workforce participation and leading to economic and social strain, and is even causing families to leave the city altogether. So here are a couple of the highlights. Number 1, create universal through 2. Expand the current universal pre-K and 3K to children under 3. Increase pay rates for providers to meet true cost of care and ensure providers are paid on time. Number 2, create the New York City Newborn Support Program. $1,000 for the first month, then $500 for each month for 12 months, and qualifying families at 200% of federal poverty line. And last but not least is our 2025 community board application will be up in mid-January. So please let your existing members know in case they're up to reapply, and share widely with the community as we look to bring some amazing new members on the community board. And that'll be it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. No, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to Eric Straza representing the District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Eric Straza, Supervisor of Community Engagement for the Manhattan DA's office. I have a few things I want to get to, so I'll try to make it quick. Just a reminder of all of the youth programming we'll be conducting and the applications that are open for the 2025 year. We'll be providing our first information session for prospective applicants to our high school summer internship program on Wednesday at 6 p.m. We have a flyer for anyone who wants to help us get the word out. Those applications are open on January 13th and close on March 12th. We also have our Gun Violence Prevention Fellowship, and those applications open in February. We've recently announced that we're increasing our annual investment in community-based organizations to work proactively with youth to prevent gun violence, from $200,000 to $300,000. We've done this for the last 2 or 3 years now. This often involves paying community-based organizations stipends to then afford to younger New Yorkers to use their time constructively, do things like beautify public spaces, and kind of take back areas that are known issues for gun violence. Those proposals for that RFP are due on January 14th. We've also been holding a series of trainings on trespass notices for local businesses and our partners in law enforcement to coordinate on best practices to support successful prosecutions and to secure meaningful case outcomes to address shoplifting recidivists. We know that shoplifting and grand larceny, obviously, as referred to by Commanding Officer Brathwaite, will continue to be a big issue in the CB4 area, and we're looking forward to bringing those trainings to both the 10th Precinct and the Midtown North precinct. Finally, DA Bragg recently put out an op-ed on problematic scaffolding alongside the borough president and council member Keith Powers, calling for expedited removals where appropriate. Through the lens of our office, scaffolding can often inhibit investigations into crime. They can cover security cameras and attract unwanted behavior underneath it. I'm sure that everyone is familiar with that as well. The last thing I want to mention is we put out a very relevant indictment or a case update on our website. It involved the indictment of Ramon Rivera, allegedly the perpetrator of the triple stabbing that took place back in November. It took place in the 17th, and notably and relevant to this group, the 10th precinct as well. So if anyone wants to learn more about that, you can look at the press release on our website. Thanks so much. I think that's it. I'll hand it back to you, Jessica. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eric. With that, that concludes our updates from our elected officials, and I'm going to turn it over to Jesse for our district manager report.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jesse Bodine, District Manager, Community Board 4, CB4 December committee schedule. Housing, Health, and Human Services Committee will be meeting tomorrow, January 7th at 6:30 p.m. at the district office, not their normal date, which was last week, which was the middle of the holiday. And then Chelsea Land Use Committee will be meeting on Tuesday, January 21st at 6:30 p.m. at Pier 57 classrooms at 25 11th Avenue due to the holiday the preceding day. All other committees should be meeting at their regular dates and times for the month of I'm sorry, did I say December at the beginning? I meant January. Sorry. Who cares about December? But all committee and full board schedules for 2025 until June are posted on our website. So please take a moment to take a look at that calendar. Pretty much everything is standard. We get a little funky around January and September of 2025. So please do take a look at that as well. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Jesse. And then just from my chair update, I know it's almost 8:30 and we haven't even gotten to the business portion, so I will try to keep this brief, but a few important updates. One, in response to the RFP that was issued in July 2023, there has been an announcement regarding 418 11th Avenue, also known fondly as Site K. Hudson Boulevard Collective, which is a partnership of 4 entities, is been selected and won the bid for Site K, which is going to produce over 1,300 new units of housing, including more than 400 permanently affordable units as well. The board should be incredibly proud of this accomplishment. This is consistent in terms of the FAR. I want to note this is consistent with what was outlined in the original RFP, and they're developing to 24 FAR. We've spoken with them. The press release, I believe, is also now on our website. And so if anybody wants to look at the specific details, but included in this is the commitment for all of the things that this board has long advocated for, which is the integration of these units fully on the plurality of floors. There'll be studios through 3 bedrooms. So there's a variety of selection. And importantly, ESD has committed to continue to be in conversation with us, both about this project and other projects in the district, as they feel really good about having received the importance of the perspective that we bring to this project, which particularly in this case, we had significant concerns about the inclusion of a hotel and the concern that hotel financing may hold up this deal, seeing as the deal being the start of construction, seeing as we've seen this in other projects. And so they specifically issued this. There will be a hotel component, as will there also be a museum and other community spaces, including a kitchen space for Emma's Torch. But they have required that the housing move forward regardless of the hotel financing. So in that way, I think we all can feel very good about them delivering on the commitment and on the priorities of this board and of the community. Yep, sorry, I mentioned it's 418 11th Avenue. 36. Between 35th and 36th across from Javits. Okay, moving on. I just want to note, you've heard a lot about Port Authority Bus Terminal going through ULURP and that process. We are moving forward on the next phase of design and construction coordination those conversations with the port will continue, and we'll look forward to keeping you updated on that. Additionally, for Chelsea NYCHA, I want to note because I know it's a topic, of course, of significant interest. At the December CLU meeting, Housing joined and received a presentation, several presentations, in fact, on the project. If you are not familiar with the details that were presented there and are interested in this topic and have questions about the topic, I would go back. Be glad you weren't in the room. It was sweltering, literally boiling, not because of what was said, but rather just the pure temperature. So if you're interested in the topic, I would encourage you to go back and watch that. As mentioned, we were able to secure the meeting with electeds, and we are preparing to review the responses to the draft scope of work and draft environmental impact statement, which we expect to be receiving in, first quarter of 2025. Additionally, someone mentioned in the public session, but connected to the Hudson River Park, but specifically, I want to note that the Manhattan Cruise Ship Terminal Master Planning process has kicked off with New York City EDC. And I know they're coming to WPE. I just wanted to also note that there is a survey out right now. You have to squint because it's not particularly well executed, but your feedback is really valuable there. And on January 28th, they are having their second public meeting to generate feedback on the design and the needs for the Manhattan Cruise Ship Terminal. So I'd encourage anyone who's interested to join that meeting on January 28th. The survey has been sent out through our newsletter. So if you're signed up, you can search your email for that. But I'm sure we'll be continuing to recirculate it, or you can contact the district office and we'll be sure to get you a copy. It's also on Link NYC, the terminals as you walk across New York. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that the Midtown South mixed use plan should be coming to the board for public review in February. So keep an eye. We're keeping Clinton Hell's Kitchen very busy. With that, we're going to move to the business portion, and we're going to start with Clinton Hell's Kitchen land use. JD and Paul have 2 letters, and we will welcome you up.
This is the first item. Very complicated item. It was supposed to go to housing, but because of time constraints, it went to land use. And it was so complicated, we broke out in hives, and we decided to punish housing by assigning the letter to Joe. So thank you, Joe, for drafting this letter. Essentially, the board is saying we want this to move forward. DOB, HPD, work out the problem so we can have 3 more affordable housings at 441 West 48th Street. Are there any questions?
Thanks, yeah, thanks. Can I call to question? Is that okay? All right, so this is the topic of the day. I want to start by reminding everybody that this is a ULURP process, so we will require a roll call vote. So on item number 2, remember that this will be roll call. All right. I apologize to folks that I got this letter in so late, but since it was the holidays and I was with my sisters, anytime they asked me to do something, that sounded way more fun than writing a letter on ULURP. So I took advantage. So mea culpa. Since the letter has been submitted, there's been a lot of other additional commentary and feedback and comments. So I want to thank JD, Rachel, Kevin, Christine, Marty, and Betty, and Joe. In the Dropbox letter, you'll see that at the beginning, there are 3 major priorities. We've had a lot of discussion about what is the most important issue, and everybody thought this was the most important issue, and then that should be on page 1. So then page 1 became page 4. So we're going to reconfigure the letter a little bit, and on the first page, make sure to include language about working with the state to combine the block just north between 33rd and 34th and have an integrated housing plan, because the discussion at committee was really more about the missed opportunity for creating affordable housing in the area and the advantage of combining that marshalling yard with the Western rail yards can create more opportunity for more housing. Up to 10,000 housing units could fit on those 4 blocks. So we want to put that up in the letter. It was lower in the letter, we're moving it up. And then in terms of the sense of the letter, there were 3 priorities identified. It's now been expanded. So the first is the lack of housing production, which was on the first letter. The financing scheme, I mean, they're saying they need funding to build the platform and they're relying on a casino that they don't have a license and they may never get the license. So that's not really a financing scheme as far as we're concerned. The unmitigated adverse impacts from the draft environmental impact statement. We rarely see letters that show that the analysis has proven that on 4 major issues, shadows, air quality, transportation, and construction, they can't fix the problem. They call them unavoidable adverse impacts. Our position is they are avoidable. Don't build it. So the next item, it came up a bunch of times, is the open space in the middle. They're talking about a consolidated space. In the original 2009 plan, it was divided amongst the buildings. They wanted to consolidate it into one. It's only about a 0.2 acre increase in total green space, but the space that they're creating has 200-foot tall walls on either side of it. And those podiums for those towers are just casting shadows incessantly on that. And that 5.4 or 5.6 acres of open space they're talking about, it's sort of a nuanced missing in here, is that a full acre of that is technically highline. So what really is on site is 4 acres and the highline is an additional acre. So we want to integrate some of the highline commentary into the open space discussion and pull that together as the 4th point. And then because we have now had 2 full public hearings, 4 committee hearings, we've had more turnout at these hearings and these discussions than, I mean, I've seen in 6 years on this board. I mean, NYCHA doesn't even compete, I think, I'm sorry to say, but this is, what about what? The dog park. The dog park at Penn South might compete with this one. But it was really important that we bring that community opposition and energy higher up in the letter. So we're going to bring that up as a 5th point on that first page. Some of the technical issues on the draft EIS, we may add into the appendix. We're going to have the thrust of what the adverse impacts are and talk about them, but we have a lot of information about the number of buses and how many cars and which intersections. A lot of that data may move into an appendix. So with that, sorry, Christine. So with that, Joe, you don't get to ask any questions. So get the mic, Joe, and go for it.
Just wanted to note a couple things. One is we lost, as we went back and forth in this letter, that we've also lost a great deal of housing as part of the Port Authority plan. We lost 2,555 units to be developed, of which 766 were affordable. So we want to put that in the letter also.
Thank you.
That we're going to get union construction jobs here, no matter what gets built. We have to note that really heavily in the letter. And then we should definitely put information from our 2009 letter about the High Line. We had a lot of information there that talked about preserving the High Line, just to have it go back to that. But the last thing is, and I told Paul, this is the first, we don't take this action lightly. We have not voted an outright denial on a ULURP since 1988. And I think that language belongs in the letter. Because that's
right. I'm going to repeat that for everyone.
Yes.
That when Joe gave this to me, I didn't, because I'm not as old as Joe, so I don't know. We have never done a full denial without condition of a ULURP since 1988. I mean, that's crazy. So we always say, let's work on this. Let's find, deny with conditions and whatnot. And I think that that's also part of our letter is we still offer recommendations. We are not just saying a 1-page letter. No, we're going through why, and we're also offering up some suggestions as how we think this can be fixed. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. All considered friendly amendments. Oh, good. Christine.
Yes. Are we making clear that we are denying both alternates? But we should do that very clearly at the beginning, right?
DENY.
No, but there are two alternates. So I think
Yeah.
we need to
No,
say
everything,
that.
yes, deny, because the application would have allowed for the alternative proposal, that is part. They can't get the alternative proposal if we don't have the zoning alterations. So that couldn't even be considered under, so yes.
Just
But I
make
think
it-
to emphasize
Just make
that
it
point.
clear
Yeah.
for the non-technical people.
Wait. Anybody else? No way.
Okay, so we are going to do a roll call.
You want, we do it at.
Oh, you want to do it at the end? Okay.
Do it at the end. Wow, thank you all very much. You're much kinder than I thought you're gonna be.
Thank you, Paul. We'll now turn it to BLP, Frank. Carrying the bulk of our content.
Everybody, as you can probably tell from our 31 agenda items, the BLP committee was pretty busy in December, and Bert and I want to thank the whole committee for all your attention to this. I have one friendly amendment to item 29, 500 West 43rd Street. The applicant and some concerned residents have worked out another stipulation about a security guard on weekends, so we're going to be adding that as a stipulation. But other than that, happy to take questions on any of these. You need a mic, I think.
So I had a question about, I'm realizing that these were already ratified, but there was like a split in the Empire Diner recommendations between sidewalk and roadway. Could you please explain the discrepancy and if there was prior to the sort of denial or the recommendation to deny, if there were options offered to the applicant?
Yes. So the reason for the split is that we're starting to see that roadway dining is actually a lot less complicated than the sidewalks. There are fewer obstructions. A roadway dining is either in a lane where it's loud or it's not because it's a fire lane or a bus lane or something. So there were no issues with this. The sidewalk was one of the most complicated ones we've seen. There were multiple obstructions that were not on the applicant's plan. But more importantly, I'm going to get technical here for 30 seconds. The law says there has to be a 10-foot clear path around any obstructions. And the applicant had this very strange view that on certain corners, it only had to be 8 feet. Like when you're going around a tree pit at the corners, it only had to be 8 feet, but only 10 feet when it was straight ahead. Made no sense to us. I had extensive talks with the applicant's lawyers before the meeting about these and various issues, and ultimately they were unable to agree or unwilling to agree. So the way the law works is there will now be a hearing before DOT on this, and we will attend that and make our position known. Okay. Sorry.
Marty, you can go ahead. Marty, you have your hand raised. Is this for this item?
It is for this item. Thank you for recognizing me. I didn't hear your first recognition. I'm really aware that the city has approved both the seasons and the structures of roadway restaurants. And I'm also aware, and I really appreciate, you guys are amazing, the hard work at vetting the placement, structure, and operation of these roadway structures. I understand the importance to small business of these structures, especially during the pandemic of roadway dining facilities, and I supported them then. However, I do not support an additional obstruction in the city streets that are already clogged. I oppose using the city streets as a container for the various obstacles this board and others have been proposing. Streets should facilitate the movement of all types of moving vehicles safely. Roadway eateries do not enhance that. I therefore intend to vote against the 16, that's to the best of my count, roadway applications, and I invite you to join me.
Thanks, Martin. And obviously, all those issues were considered when the final regulations were discussed. I can't tell you how many meetings and calls Christine and I were on about these various issues, but at the moment, we are working within the framework of the approved regulations. So the committee, does not feel it's our purview to take on the entire existence of the roadway dining program. Of course, people can continue to vote against items on an individual voting basis.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all the questions.
Thanks, everybody.
Leslie, are you or is Marty? Great.
All right, can I just disconnect you? No. I'm here again about the Manhattan Cruise Ship Terminal and shore power, as you're all familiar with. We have one letter, very tersely worded, I guess. Any questions? It's about shore power, the urgency for it, and they should do it ASAP. And they are coming back. When I say they, I'm sorry, NYC EDC for the great master plan for the Manhattan Cruise Ship Terminal that Jessica was talking about in her report. Any questions? Nope. Great. Thank you.
I want to say that Leslie wrote this letter, and I want to express my appreciation for her sophisticated anger.
Thank you. We're going to turn to transportation. In the meantime, I just want to acknowledge to our attendees, I see a hand has continued to come up and down. We are now in the business portion of our meeting, so we will not be calling on members from the public. Just wanted to make that clear. We do see you, but.
Okay, so we have a few letters, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I just want to call out item 39, which is a request for bus shelters on West 23rd Street, which was brought to us by our community of ADA advocates. And we have made a few changes, very friendly amendment to those. One is Sillis Manor is it's east of 6th Avenue. So we didn't ask for a shelter there because this is not our district, but we're going to add a suggestion, even though it's not in our district. We have also added the concept that if a shelter was not feasible, we are requesting a bench, but a bench with a back, not just a bench. And on West 23rd Street, north side of 9th Avenue, we're going to request a bench with a back because a shelter would be right in front of the entrance and right next to a parking entrance, and it would be obstructing the communication. So we're going to change that letter with those three friendly amendments. Any other question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Dolores.
First, I made it very clear that I'm so square. No, first, I really want to actually apologize to the community at large. Last month, I was probably inappropriately feisty around our position on the letter for the location at London Terrace. And I think that might have done a disservice to the community at large. So I want to apologize because we ended up not getting that letter through. And that is really disservice when a mass number of community members voice their concerns and their issues. We basically ignored it. And so we have letter 41, which is a similar situation. You heard people speaking today in the public session against the proposed location at 206 8th Avenue. For those that are concerned that we probably are only listening to the community in reasoning for why we reject it, this actual applicant did not show up to a second meeting to clarify how much outreach that they would or should have done with the community. So that is our reason for denying. The second letter, which is interesting, this is the second time that this particular applicant has come before this community board at a different location. They're very involved within the community. So just to give a very tiny bit of background why we approve this, this is someone who is taking over a space that formerly was an illicit weed shop. So they are putting in hopefully a legitimate shop within a space that was selling illegal weed. So that is something that I think that we've been on record as a board that we've been supportive of that type of transition. So that was it. Any questions for those two letters?
I have one small question, Dolores. Happy New Year, everyone. And I appreciate all the work that the Cannabis Task Force is putting into these letters. For letter 42, was there any community pushback or concerns for proximity to schools for that one?
Not that was expressed at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, oh.
Letter 42 looks like it's addressed to the former executive director of OCM, who's no longer. Yeah, that's a small thing. He's just not the director of OCM anymore.
Thanks. Huh? Jesse was supposed to do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you. I want to also acknowledge HHHS and Aces and Exec all met this month, but have nothing to report. That doesn't mean that good work didn't happen there. And I want to acknowledge and thank the committees for meeting. At this point, that reflects our agenda. And so we are going to prepare for a vote. You heard we're going to do 2 votes this evening. So I'm going to turn it, this is Candace's first go. So listen up and follow her instructions, and Jesse will be here to help.
Okay.
You good?
I think so. There is 2 votes for the Western Rail Yards for the rezoning. So separate those when you're doing it. Start off with Teddy. Arenas. Oh, No, so sorry. for clarity's sake, that's okay. You're separating out your vote for the Western Rail Yards. And that, right, so you're voting, you're gonna say for So it's the, for public. that item, how you're voting, and then you will go on to say how you're voting for the rest. Obviously, if you have a bifurcated vote for the rest of those, you can do that, but it's, yeah. Yes, no, yeah, but yeah, the 3rd letter is withdrawn as per the discussion at the beginning of the meeting, but don't worry about it, we're withdrawing it anyway, so it'll be removed no matter what you write. I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's just scratched. So do the ULURP first, Theodore. Oh, nope. We got more questions.
I just want to note that a vote in favor of the Western Rail Yards is a vote against the proposal. People forget that sometimes.
Possible on 12, 16, and 22, and yes to the rest.
So Teddy, you're yes for the ULURP, and then present, not eligible for 12, 16, and 22. And yes for the rest. Roberta, Brett. The ULURP, okay. And yes to the rest. So Roberta is yes to the ULURP, yes to the rest. Christine Bate. Okay, Christine is yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. Bling, she here today? Amen. Leslie. Two. Yes to the rest. So yes on ULURP, yes to the rest, and I'm staying on 42. Ben? Not here. Leon Buckley? Yes on ULURP, and yes to the rest. Kevin Collins? Yes on ULURP, and yes to the rest for Kevin. Lisa David? Yes on ULURP, and yes on the rest for Lisa. Martine? No, why is he on? Yeah, Marty. Marty's online.
I'm sorry, Candace. Yes to the ULURP, yes to everything except, and here's a bunch of numbers: 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 24.
So 12, oh, hold on. So from after 12, let's go from 12.
I'm sorry, I'm
14.
not hearing you.
Candace, I think if you just step a tiny bit back from the microphone, we can hear you great.
Sorry. 10, 12, 14. Go ahead and continue with your no.
10, 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 24.
24. Okay, so Marty,
This
you have,
is a hell of a way to start you off. I'm sorry.
it's okay. Yes to the ULURP. Yes. Okay, got it. Paul? Okay, Paul, I was yes on the ULURP and yes to the rest. Pete Diaz? Okay, Pete Diaz is ULURP yes and yes to the rest. Thomas Garza? Tom is on West ULURP yes and yes to the rest. Wendy? And Wendy is yes on ULURP and yes to the rest. Max? Max is yes on the ULURP, yes to the rest. Matt Green? Yes on ULURP and yes on the rest for Matt Green. Jesse? Greenwell?
Not eligible on items 41 and 42. And yes to the rest.
So Jesse, you're yes on the ULURP, yes to the rest, present not eligible to 41 to 42. Yes, call myself. Candace, yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. David. Where's David? Hold on. Yes on the ULURP, yes to the rest for David. That Frank? That Frank for yes for ULURP, yes for the rest. Josephine? Yes, Josephine, yes for ULURP, yes for the rest. Inga? Inga is yes on ULURP, yes on the rest. Carrie?
Yes on ULURP, yes to the rest.
Yes on
Thank you.
ULURP, yes on the rest. Carrie? Ella? Ella is yes on ULURP, yes on the rest. Raul? Not here today. Bert? Yes on ULURP for Bert and yes on the rest. Chris LeBron is not here. Rachel? Yes on ULURP, yes to the rest. Rachel? James McDonald? Thank you. Yes on ULURP, yes on the rest. Betty? Elizabeth McIntosh? Betty, we're on mute right now. Oh. Betty, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, I apologize. Yes to the ULURP and yes to the rest.
Thank you, Betty. Yes, Betty is yes on ULURP, yes to the rest. Sanford? Sanford is yes on ULURP, yes to the rest. Janice Mitchell?
Yes to ULURP, yes to the rest.
Janice is yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. Greg? Greg is yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. Tina Nelson? Not here today. Mike Noble,
Yes to the ULURP, yes to the rest.
thank you, Mike. Mike is yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. JD. JD is yes to ULURP, yes to the rest. Maria Ortiz. Yes, ULURP, yes, and the rest. Alan. Alan is yes on the ULURP, yes to the rest. Brad. Didn't see him. Joe. Dolores. So that's number 2. Dolores is present, not eligible on number 2 on the ULURP, and yes on the rest. Katie Savage. Katie is yes on ULURP, yes on the rest. Katie Stokes. Oh, she's not here. Hector. David Warren.
Yay on ULURP and yay to all the rest, and my vote has been submitted.
Thank you, David. David is yes for ULURP, yes for the rest. Rodney. Thank you, Rodney. Rodney is yes for ULURP, yes for the rest. Alice. Okay, no to 42 and yes to the rest. Alice is yes for the ULURP, no for 42, yes on the rest. And then we have Jessica.
Yes on 2, yes on the rest.
Thank you. Yes on Jessica is yes on ULURP, yes on the rest. And that's it.
Let's give Candace a round of applause for her first double duty roll call and minutes. Thank you. Before we get a motion to adjourn, I have been suffering from severe jet lag throughout this whole meeting. So apologies in advance for mumbling and flipping my words so many times. This was important content. And thank you all for showing up as you did. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second, thank you. Have a great